Hello. Hello and welcome to our forum. I'm Behna Sohani and I am a MATIC Professional Development Coordinator. The topic of our today's forum is how to emotionally connect with our students. And it's a shame though, those who wanted this topic so badly, I don't see them among the participants, so hopefully they get to hear the recording of this session. I was reading a quote from Antonio Damasio, and he said, "We are not thinking machines, we are feeling machines that think." Isn't that amazing? We are not thinking machines, we are feeling machines that think. And many people think, including some of my colleagues, they think that emotions have no place in the lofty halls of academia. Our pursuit of knowledge should be rational, facts, and unaffected by such trivial things as emotion. I think emotions have no place in academia. Previously, it was thought that emotions and cognition, they activate separate parts of the brain, but recent findings, they show that multiple areas involved in emotional responses and cognitive are active at once. So since it's impossible to exclude emotions from cognition, why not take advantage of the power of emotion? That's the question. Emotions are powerful. Emotions grab our attention and emotions, I think I need to, maybe I should mute everyone. Okay, and then we'll unmute those who want to talk. So let's go back to what I was saying, that emotions are powerful. Emotions grab our attention and keep our interest. Emotions motivate us, inspire us, and move us to action. We connect, we understand, and remember things much more deeply when our emotions are involved. So if emotions have such ability to affect our understanding, why try to keep them out of classroom? Just does not make any sense. So let's consider intentional ways of bringing emotions to teaching and learning experiences. So here we go. What can we do? That's why we are all here together in this forum, to figure out what can we do to bring emotions into teaching and learning. So I'm going to unmute everyone, and here we go. Let's share your experiences with connecting emotionally with your students. What tactiques have you used? I've got a few of those of mine because I am fully online faculty. So let's see what you all have. Let's just pick on each other's brain and share our experiences.
Hello, everyone. This is Elizabeth Leavy from Cecil College out in Maryland. I'm currently teaching statistics online, and I found for this summer session, I
have.
Go ahead.
I guess no. I'm just surprised I did that.
It seems that everybody's unmuted, so.
Sorry, I thought I had it set to mute. I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries. I found that I hosted virtual conferences with each of my students, requiring them to have both audio and video feed available. And I just did a 15 to 20 minute conference. I gave them participation points since we were totally online. So that was their participation activity for the week. And it just allowed them to for us to connect at a different level, to see each other, to just hear the inflection in our voices, to share something, they could share, a photo or just say something. It just allowed, that a deep level of communication to occur and just have that connection that hopefully will continue throughout the rest of our session for the summer. But I found it was very, very helpful. Thank you.
That's awesome. So that personal connection. Mm-hmm.
Well, I will add to what Elizabeth was talking about. I teach different, mostly hybrid and online, and even, especially the online courses, the students like to see their instructor. They like to talk to them using, whether it's Zoom or whatever platform you have. If you can meet with them face to face, whether it's a small group, I have virtual office hours where students can come and go. Sometimes they just want to come and say, hey, I just wanted to kind of see you and interact a little bit. And I enjoy that, being able to interact with them face to face. And you get that emotional, we're talking about emotional, get to know them. It doesn't always have to be, well, we're going to meet and we're doing work. We're going to meet, let me answer your questions, whatever those questions may be. The question may be just something basic like, well, we have a midterm exam. Can I do this? Can I do that? It can be really anything. But I've found if you can do the video, it definitely helps. And communicating quickly is another thing, especially for total online. I get reply, whether it's an email, whether it's a video. If I get back to them quickly, they're usually like, wow, I didn't expect that. You care because you got back to me quickly.
I wanted to add on that when we moved from my face-to-face class to the online, one of the things I had was office hours, 1 hour for 4 days, one each day. And they had an option to pick whichever one they wanted to join in. And I had 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. But at first it was more like office hours and I didn't have anything guided or anything to do. It was just to come in and talk as well as answer any questions they had. And of course, they didn't have too many questions. So then I started changing it to tell them, well, on this hour, I am going to, talk about homework, do a couple homework problems from these 2 assignments or whatever. And then the next day it would be from another 2 assignments. So they got to choose and pick which ones they wanted to come in, or maybe they wanted to join all 4 or just 2 of them and get the scope of going over problems. So even though it wasn't like I was lecturing again, it was more of like, oh, I just picked this one at random in terms of a homework problem. Let's try this one together or something like that. So I think they kind of like that idea as well.
Your voice was cutting off, so I don't know what was the other thing that you were doing towards the end of what you were saying, Sylvia.
Basically that they actually they got to choose which day they wanted to come, because I would announce what homework assignment I was going to cover for a particular day. So, and I would randomly pick 1 or 2 problems from that homework assignment and covered it during that hour. So of course it didn't take a whole hour to cover 2 problems, but it gave them the opportunity to ask questions, or we would try it together. Like, all right, well, let's spend a few minutes. What's the next step? What's the next step? Similar to what we would have done in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Very good. It's very innovative. Awesome.
So if I can mention something at the start of going online, I had one, I believe it was the first session. It was a remote session, and almost over half of that period, all we did was talk to each other. How are you doing? What are you doing? How is your family? And then I did a poll asking what was the most important to them. And there were things like, I'm worried about my grade, I'm worried about my family, my health, money, and so on. There are a whole bunch of items. And surprisingly, the grade was one of the lowest on their mind. So they were
Ah.
much more worried about health of their family, and just generally they were more scared. So one thing I do in my classes is I do something called mindfulness for math anxiety. I actually send them to these mindfulness recordings they can hear on their own time and then practice. And that helps with the anxiety level, because I know there are a lot of them have high anxiety. And not just that, the other thing I found very useful for me personally was to pick up the phone and talk to my colleagues. We have been on Zoom all the time, but just to take the phone and like just talk to a couple of colleagues a week was very helpful for me. So I think same thing for students also, to connect one-on-one.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing, Manisha.
Yeah, Manisha, we had something like that happen almost right away. We have about 30 full-time faculty, but when all of this hit, several months ago, one of our faculty started just a text message thread with everybody on it, and keeping that connection with your faculty that's really not official or anything. And what are you doing? I'm doing this. And feedback, the constant conversation was a big help. And we now do that on Teams. We have everybody on Teams, so that, it's really easy sitting there working, something pops up in Teams and we have the discussion. But I do think you need that emotional connection with your faculty. But I think it's lost with my students, because now that I'm doing remote teaching with Zoom, my screen of students is just a whole list of names like you see on the bottom of this screen. And that emotional connection is gone. I can't see if they're nodding their heads that they understand, or that they're yawning, that they're bored. That never happens in my class, don't get me wrong. But I've lost all of that, seeing people and seeing what they're doing. And we actually requested with our administration that we require students to have their cameras on. And they came back and said, well, if you do that, then you can't record it, because everybody's recording and putting on YouTube their lectures. And that's great, because they can then catch up or rewatch or different things. So we're in I'd love to have everybody's faces on the screen, but I'd like to also be able to record everything that's going on. So that's why I'm here today, to listen, figure out what everybody else is doing around the country.
Dan, I know we use WebEx
Okay.
for ours, and you can go into the settings of recording, and it will ask you, do you want to show the video webcams of the students or the participants? And you can say no, that it only can share the screen in which I'm sharing. So whatever that is.
Okay. Thanks, Sylvia.
That's good. I've been a little more successful with getting students to turn their cameras on and talk to me when we do the breakout rooms. And so I have not been recording my sessions, but I don't think that they record the rooms. So like, I actually log on to a separate computer just so I can kind of keep and see if anybody got kicked out, so I can put them back in their breakout room. They always think it's bizarre, because like some of them are like, I'm seeing the side of your head, what's going on? Well, that's because I'm looking at a different monitor and I'm in a room right now. So once they figure that out, we can get them back in. But I've been a lot more successful of talking to students and connecting with them in those small breakout sessions. So I'm giving them problems to do as a group, and then I come and check on them.
Nice.
Question for everybody. I'm at Joliet Junior College in Illinois, and we when we first, COVID part 1, and we were in the middle of the semester, people got into doing a lot of synchronous sessions. And for instance, mine, since my classes were 8 to 10 in the morning, I met with my students 8 to 10. We did record them. I did not have their cameras on, and it was mostly me showing my screen and talking, and then them talking. But it was actually kind of nice. The students who needed a connection got a connection. I had maybe 4 regulars in each of my classes that actually tuned in. But we were required, plus I thought it was fair to do that, to record for them in case anybody wanted to catch up. Here's the problem. Summer and now for fall, once we started enrollment, everything was typical, what day of the week and time of day does the class meet, and then all of a sudden that stuff disappeared. So right now I'm looking at fall, and it's a real problem, like summer sort of was, where what if I want to offer synchronous learning with my students, but now my class has no days and times? They removed it because we're online. And we had hoped to preemptively get something in there where we could have inserted when our session, like if an instructor was choosing to do synchronous learning, when would it take place? Does anybody have that problem? Because to be honest, right now we're stuck, and instructors in my department want to know, what do we do? Like I said, well, I guess you pick a time of day of your choosing and make these things available if you choose, and hope that that's a good time for your students. But in, you know, if they kind of left the days and times there, it would have been, you know, if we're going to do something, it's going to be during those days and times. Okay, so I don't know. Is anybody else having that issue? It's really created, I think, and students don't know what sections to sign up for because they don't know which are going to have synchronous, which are not. Which teacher might pick what day if they are doing it. I don't know. Is anybody else having that?
Some faculty, they poll the students at the beginning, the first week of the semester, to figure out which day of the week, what time slot is better for them. And others, like myself, since I've always been online, I just pick a time of the week. Usually my time is around 5 or 6 p.m. I'm on the Eastern time zone. And I would announce it. It is there in the discussion forum, so they know from the beginning of the semester, this is the time. And since I record the sessions, even if they can't attend, they can take advantage of the session. But the key is for them to know ahead of time. Like for instance, this summer semester, before even the semester started, I started receiving emails that, when are you going? Are you going to have live session? When is it? I need to plan it with my work. So yeah, some of them are very good with attending, but there are others that really, for whatever reason, they just rather watch the recorded session. But that has been my experience. Anyone else?
At my school, they labeled the room as remote, but they left the days and times there. I think because the governor hasn't approved our plan yet. So they have to have a plan that could like go many different ways, because until the governor approves it, we really can't say what we're actually doing. So for the classes that are definitely going to be online and asynchronous, they have no room location. They just say distance learning, and they have no meeting days and times. But for the rest of the classes that'll be remote, it says remote in the room location, and it says the days and times that you're meeting. And so students know that you know, they need to be free on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9, for example, if they're signing up for that class. But I don't know, Linda, how long it's been since students have been registering, because if they've been registering without days and times, then in hindsight, it might be difficult to do. But in foresight, it works because they know, and then faculty aren't allowed to do it at a different time. Like if my class is labeled as Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 9:50 remote, the only time I'm allowed to do Zoom with my students is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 9:50. I'm not allowed to tell the students to do Zoom at a different time.
And Julie, that's what worked with us, because we were told, and we made sure that our department knew, you know, if your class meets these hours, that's when you should be offering your synchronous stuff, or don't offer it. Do like other videos that you post or whatever you know you're going to be doing. And I love the idea of listing the location as remote. See, we got no choice in that. Our distance learning people just decided they were going to make everything appear online, and it just removed those things. And I've alerted them that it looks like there's a very good chance we might end up doing this again in spring. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Do we have to go through this nonsense one more time? They could easily, with planning, do what you're doing. Because see, right now we have a mishmash. We have some students that signed up when there still were dates and times. So they probably thought they were signing up for an 8 a.m. whatever class. So now if the instructor says, no, I'm going to be meeting at 5 p.m., you know, and now everybody, since they removed them, what's the difference? Because nothing was there. So I really like that idea. And if we can at least fix spring, if not fall, that would be great. Thank you.
Let's go back to how do we connect with our students emotionally. There are a couple of things that I do. For instance, since I'm fully online, before the start of a semester, I will email all my students with my expectations, and I kind of is a welcoming note to them. And many of them, they respond back to me and they thank me for the information that I sent to them. And the second thing I do is that in the beginning of the semester, I create a video called Let's Come on a Tour of the Course with Me. So I take them on a tour of the course. I would tell them what's the first thing they should do, what's the next thing, what are the expectations. So it's a short, succinct video, but this way they would connect with me. And they know that there is a human behind this course who's teaching this course, and they get to know about what are my expectations. So these were the couple of things that I have been doing. See if others have been doing anything similar. So that way I have been able to connect with, of course, you have to do many different things to connect with different students differently.
This is Nancy. I also do something similar, but I really like your idea of making the video. I email my students usually a week before the class starts. This is online, and now we're teaching synchronously for the fall as well. And email them with my expectations before the class starts and an overview that kind of summarizes what they're going to be doing. But I think the video would give them a chance to connect a little bit better, I think. The other thing that I wanted to comment on was I love the idea of the conferencing at the beginning with the students because we are teaching again synchronously this fall, and in March 26th we started, this past spring, and I think that's a great way to get what would have been face-to-face classes, be able to meet all the students and give them some individual attention before we start the class. And I think that's, when we go through these things, we learn things that also help with our online classes. We notice that some of these things, as we've gone into this synchronous teaching, have given me ideas then to be able to use for my online classes to connect better with students. One of the things that I wanted to find out from others is I noticed that with my synchronous spring classes, when we went from face-to-face to online, I slowly lost attendance. And I think that synchronous connection was so important for my face-to-face classes. The online know that they're going to have an asynchronous experience, but the face-to-face classes, and we did keep times, and we are expected to teach synchronously at those times. I wanted to maybe see if there were any ideas of how to keep the students engaged. I haven't used the breakout rooms, so that was another thank you for giving that kind of a some emphasis with the breakout rooms. So I'm going to mute now and hopefully hear some of these ideas.
Hi everyone. So it's an honor for me to be here, and this is a great discussion. So when we switched to remote, I used Mentimeter, and well, I started using it at the beginning of the semester, and this was for I will paste the link. It's www.menti.com. This is where you access a poll, and then you need to punch in a certain code, and this is my sample for a syllabus. And my students, therefore, already knew how to go in there. And once we switched to remote, I created other mentees. I mean, I used them for short quizzes, but this one, the 723933 code, was really useful to sort of take the pulse of my class to see how they feel about it, and then also, encourage them, but but also show through word clouds that we feel similarly, but yet we are all different. We have different feelings. And then I also ask them to estimate their prognosis, for success. And I think that kind of tool can really be helpful. And I just can't say how grateful I am that I discovered Mentimeter in the previous AMATIC conference, So it was one of the poster presentations. I think it sort of saved my class. We also had lots of discussions. Like keeping on, also talking about academic integrity, like who are you really hurting, if you now resort to something that you're not supposed to in the exams. And so I think that kind of presence that tackles the affective domain can help with the class participation. And the other thing that I used was chat. So we never had videos in the class. And it was comfortable for me, also for students, to not have our videos displayed. But our chat was our communication tool. And I didn't think it was good to penalize students for low attendance, unless, it went totally out of bounds. So there was no activity in homework and so on, then I would send an email. But what I did, I had an incentive of awards. So I collected all the chats at the end of the semester. I merged them into one big TXT file, and then I input it into StatCrunch. And just trying by trial and error, I counted the number of answers per student. So some of those were hellos and thank you, and but it's still some kind of engagement. But I think that chat was the closest I could do to maintain the live class. So I think Google Docs are another way to have great group work during live sessions, but I haven't tried that. So thank you.
Some ways that I found throughout the years for connecting emotionally with students is that they have to know that the person on the other side is the person who's facilitating the course is someone with emotions too. I'm not a robot. I'm not there to get them. I always constantly keep telling them that we are in this together. I want you all to be successful. If you're successful, I'm successful. So they see some human on the other side of the computer. And sometimes when I'm responding to the discussion forums, I say, you know what, this is springtime. And as I was grading your discussions, I was just thinking about doing my springtime cleaning, and maybe this is a good time. So they see that, I do the same kind of things, or I use announcements very heavily. And so I end the week with an announcement, and I start the week with an announcement. When I end the week with an announcement, in the announcement portion of the course, I ended with a motivational quote. And many times students have come back and they said, these motivational quotes are what is taking me throughout the course. And they said to me that, the students have been saying that we have been even sharing these on our social media with our friends to that extent, because these are powerful. And they said that, when I come home being so tired, I open up the course and I see these quotes, it just takes me to another level. You just boost up my morale so much. And what am I doing? I just bought a couple of books, just pick up those, take these quotes. And of course you can recycle them throughout the semester. So it was only the first time around, which was difficult, but now the next semesters, all I do just copy paste. So that was one thing that they found it so very effective. And so end of the week, they know that they are expecting something of that nature from me. And when I begin the week, I tell them, you know what? Weekends are sometimes more work for some of us. you know, because I have to do cleaning in the house. I have to do housework. I don't have anybody to do it for me. So they know that, you know, besides doing this teaching work that I do, you know, I have to do my other chores. I have to go shopping, grocery shopping, everything. So this brings a human side of the instructor into the course, and they feel so connected. And that is when they email me, they send me private messages, you know, talking about their struggles. And that is when I feel that we are connecting with them. A few weeks ago, I had a student, we were in the 4th week of the semester, and a student emailed me and she said, oh, it was so heartbreaking. She's 21 years of age and she was diagnosed with breast cancer, 21. And she said her husband lost his job due to this COVID-19 layoffs, and they have got 3 kids. And so she has no money to buy a book. And I'm saying, oh my God, this is only 7 weeks. We are embarking on the 4th week and you don't have money. So I was just all over the place. So I contacted my chair and I said, what am I going to do here? So she suggested that I contact our rep. So contacted our rep and she sent me a course key for the publisher software that we use and the ebook. And she's doing excellent in the course. So you see, sometimes something so small, and she thanked me a million times. I said, well, I didn't do anything. I just conveyed the message. I just tried something to, as a human being, that's what I would have done for anybody. But sometimes those little steps, and she thanked me so much. And in fact, my chair had her the semester before, and she said she never, ever confided in her about her problem. So probably she had the cancer. It must have been going on for a while, that she's going through chemo now. But it's always those little things that, you know, we just take it for granted. We say, well, this is nothing. But that little nothing that is nothing for me, it could be something great for another person.
Yeah, Banaz, kind of going in a different direction. As far as making the connection, I teach using a lot of applications. And so I do a lot of problems in class that relate back to, you know, either movies or TV or history or current events. And a lot of the assignments I give the students, I encourage them to pick their own similar topic. And I think when they see that it's not just a problem out of the book and where they can use something in their real life, and they see that I can relate to something in their real life, we have a lot of little side conversations in the class or online based on that. And I think that helps bring them in and look at the content in a different way, or at least know that, hey, this is not just something, you know, written in a book that I have to figure out. I can find someone who can understand what I like to talk about. And I was just, for example, I was meeting with students this morning for their course project, and I had to laugh. One of my students did her project on current pop music, and I had to admit I didn't know half the people she was talking about anymore. There was a time when I could have that conversation and talk about all of them, but she kind of laughed and she kind of gave me a little education. But those kind of things, if you can put it into context that the students can relate to, then they can see, like you said, they can see you more like a regular person and not just someone who's sharing the information.
Awesome. This is wonderful. This is another way of connecting with students emotionally, to giving them control. So you are basically giving them control as to, you know, the type of assignment they want to pick, right? The kind of project to work on. Is that correct, Pat?
Yeah, they had, for this particular one, it was an intro to statistics class, and they had to come up with essentially a top 25. They had to pick a topic and then pick the things and then rank them in order based on statistics. So that was what her topic was.
Awesome. Any other thoughts? I know the other way of connecting with them is to, I know this is hard for us as math teachers, to be likable. So I know we are the least liked kind of faculty on the face of the earth. You go to dentist and the dentist asks you, oh, what do you do? Teach math. And then I say it so slowly because I'm afraid he might just put the injection somewhere else in my nose or in my eyes because he is so, and they always say, well, math has never been my best subject. So it's, you know, we have to try to be likable. And there are ways to be likable. I know they think it's always my fault that they have to take this math class. But, you know, with a little smile on our face, with a, you know, some words of encouragement, and being enthusiastic about their success. I know sometimes it's so hard. When you look at the grade book, I always tell myself that I wish that somebody else was taking care of the grade book and I was just doing my teaching work. Looking at the grade book can be disheartening, but you know, we have to keep that optimism about their success, that even if they are so close to failing, yet to give them encouragement and, you know, tell them that they can do it, they can. And I have seen cases that they just pulled it through. They were deep in the bottom of the well, but it's just few words of encouragement that I asked them, let's just meet in Zoom. Let's see why you can't do it. I know you can. Oh, my schedule, oh, this COVID, oh, that thing. But just that personal connection, they came through and amazed me. So I guess we have to be optimistic about them, about their success. And it's difficult at times. We are humans after all too, you know? So it just makes it tough.
In my face-to-face class, I have usually on the second test, when I hand it back, I put a little sticky note of word of encouragement, whether it's, you know, I see that you're improving, or, you know, I could see that you worked really hard, whatever the encouragement is on a sticky note, because I collect the test after it's graded and I keep all the tests, but they actually have a chance to see it. And it's really funny because at the end of the semester, I have them for extra credit. They can show me their notes, their notebook for extra credit. And you can see some of them where they took that sticky note and stuck it in their notebook so that they can see it. Even, you know, weeks later. I don't know how I could do that online. So any suggestions on that, on how to give out encouragement or encouraging notes?
I use Remind with my students, which is a messaging service. So I can send them a message to the whole class, or I've enabled two-way communication. So that's kind of like texting, and they love it. They absolutely, they love it. So that like, if you see that somebody does really, really well on a test or something, like they, you know, they've been struggling, I can send them a personal note pretty quick, and they love it because it's very personal to them that they got just that message. You also with Remind, I have recorded myself. Now my family has totally made fun of me, but I'll be like, okay, I just graded this project and you guys did awesome. I was so excited to do this or whatever. And I do see that people actually listen to them. And I sometimes get a little thumbs up from them after I send something like that. But you know, just even that little 30-second message that they hear my voice again, they totally love it.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I do at the start of the semester is use something called Flipgrid. And it's a way for them to record themselves, because I do a lot of flip classroom. And so I share a video of myself talking about myself, and then for extra credit, they can give me a video. It's less than a minute talking about themselves and something special about themselves. Nothing about math, but just for me to get to know them. And it really helped that, and learning about the different students, the jobs they had and everything. So even when we were online later, I could ask them, how was work going? Were they going to work? You know, how were their kids or their family or whatever they were doing? And I'm really afraid some of that I'm gonna lose when we're not starting in person, everything's gonna be online.
I tried Flipgrid for the first time,
And the one thing, oh, I guess I'm muted. Am
No,
I
you're
muted? Oh, I'm coming. Okay. The one thing I was really shocked at is one of my students, they were really doing well. And then this one student's video popped up. And while he was talking, the whole time he was talking, he had a snake, a real snake, around his neck. It was just kind of moving around, you know, just like it was getting comfortable. That was a little unnerving. But for the most part, I mean, they were very tasteful in their, you know, just their introductions of themselves and how they were feeling and things that they were going through. And I was really surprised that, you know, some of them really did, you know, seem to want to talk about things to not just me, but to others in the classroom. And the other thing I did too is the first discussion of the term, it's what are your stress busters? And so it's the idea, okay, we're going through this COVID thing and there's other things going on. And, you know, how are you, you know, de-stressing? What are you doing to get your mind off everything and to be able to concentrate on math and whatever other subjects they're taking? And you know, they really they're sharing these things and saying, you know, I just like to get out and take a run, or I do yoga, or I read a book, you know, just to get my mind off everything. So some of them doing some binge watching and, you know, Netflix and stuff like that. But it's just getting to know them. I think that's really important. And then another thing I do is whenever I hear of different community things going on, such as food giveaways and stuff like that, I always post it or send them an email and say, hey, guess what's going on today? You know, they're giving away masks, or they're giving away, you know, some food, you know, it's free. And, you know, I get a lot of students coming back and saying, oh, wow, that was great. We were able to get some free food or some masks, you know, because well, it just came out today, all these different stores that are now, it's mandatory to wear a mask in the store, Walmart, Sam's, Target, places like that. And it's all across the United States, not just here in Florida where I am.
That's awesome. Evelyn, you brought up a very good point, and that is doing a little intro of yourself in the beginning. So you can either do it by form of a video, or what I do is just a static intro of myself. And of course, with my background being so different than my students, so when I share a little personal story about myself, that why did I choose this field, that I didn't really want to be a math teacher. I wanted to be an engineer. It just didn't work out. So you see, it's so they know that, you know, I have been going through the same struggles. I tell them, I didn't like math at all. I did not. And it was my mom who really worked so hard with me, because she knew that how important math is for my future. And as a result of all that her hard work, I ended up loving math. So it's just so they know that I've been through the same struggles that they are going through. So therefore we connect in some place. So that intro is so important. A little bit about yourself, your likes, your dislikes, your struggles. You know, why did you pick this field? So they would connect. So I find that to be very, very helpful. And as far as Judy, what you mentioned about remind, when they do something good, you encourage them. In our LMS, we use D2L. There is a place that you can leave them a voice message. So if I want to, I can just record a maybe few second message that you've done a fabulous job. I'm so proud of you, rather than just typing it there. So it just gives them another affirmation. It just feels so good about that.
I completely agree. And I have recently completed the AQ course. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with it, but it was a great experience. And it was really fortunate that they extended this year's cohorts until July 1st. Normally they do it until June 1st. But our semester ended a little bit after, because we start late in actually at the beginning of February. So this is the module. I'm pasting a link into the chat. all the modules are listed aside. There are 25 modules if you go to their website. They don't publicize all of their materials, but at least you have some kind of little video and the references for each one of the modules. And then the second chapter, I would say, is the one where we connect with, where they talk about connecting with students and motivating students, preparing underprepared students. And in their blog, they also have interesting, very interesting videos, like the one from Sandra Yancey McGuire. I'm posting that link as well. This is where she talks about how when she started, she's now a professor emerita at Louisiana State University, I believe. And she said when she started, she really thought that based on some predictors at the beginning of the semester, not everybody has a chance to pass. And then later, she actually changed her thinking about that. She realized that it could be possible for everybody to pass, but we have to give them a lot of tool like outside of the class. So something else to share. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome.
My wife's a dental hygienist. I could tell you why dental people don't like math, because calculus is harder.
Yeah.
So I would always make the joke. First, I would tell them my wife's a hygienist, and I'd say, my job is to give you calculus. It's her job to take it away.
Wow. Interesting. Awesome.
I've been recording lecture videos, so I'm doing like the complete opposite of everyone else. So I've been sitting here listening, but not saying anything because I can't contribute to any active learning. It's almost more like a flipped classroom kind of a thing where they're watching videos that I record at home, and then I do Zoom office hours when they want to ask to clarify something.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did. I recorded my videos and then I would ask them to come to office hours so we can discuss them. And what I decided to do was to start going over certain homework problems. But I do plan to change that for the same reason, to get the more buy-in in there and to get the to change that in the future. And I understand where you're coming from in terms of I'm lecturing by myself and they're watching videos and I'm just answering questions. But I think having that opportunity for students to come see you is crucial in terms of getting that emotional connection as well.
Yeah, I've had a lot less of that emotional connection, but a lot of them seem to be quite content to just get questions answered by email and let me know when they need a Zoom for more clarification to go over something.
For the past 4 years, I've had a flipped classroom, but that just means the students watch the videos I've recorded at home already, the lectures, and it gives me the whole class to do active and collaborative learning. So when in the spring, I tried to do that active and collaborative learning online, they still watch the lectures at home. And that gives me more time to answer their questions. I really like that approach. I'm a big advocate of it. It was a little harder to do the active and collaborative learning online. I did put them into groups and such, but I'm just hoping to make it even better in the fall.
Do you have any links to like where you got your ideas of what to do during the active learning portion after they've watched the videos? Because I'm worried students, if I do like a regular classroom meeting type of thing, they won't watch the videos. They'll just wait for me to teach it in class.
Well, so I give them guided notes. And of course, when I met with them, I was able to print them out for the whole semester. And so that's what they use for watching the videos. And then in class, I just find all kinds of activities. I've teachers, I forget what it's called now. But you know, like I just go online and I search for different things. I make activities. We do well, some things you can't do in person, you have to do in person, but I have scavenger hunts where they have to find answers. You could do circuits, that's the same thing. You know, other kinds of worksheets or other things that they do together. Not really projects, because it's been, I haven't gotten that far, although I'm looking for it. If you want to email me offline, I'll put my email here. I can send you some examples.
Sure, that would be great.
I'm also, I have this question. I'm also concerned if I tape the lectures, I'm afraid they may not watch it before the next class.
I've done what Evelyn was saying. I made videos and I made guided notes, and then they have to scan in their guided notes and they get points for it. And granted, in the big picture, it's a small percentage of their grade, but I don't think they realize, they just see that it counts towards their grade. So they watch the video so that they can fill in the guided notes so that they get the points for the guided notes, has been my experience. And I guess if they truly can fill in all the guided notes without watching my video, then that's okay with me too. But I think the strong majority of them watch the video so they can fill in the guided notes. And then on the iPhone, you can, or on the other phones as well, they're scanning apps on the phones, so they can just use their phone to scan it in and upload the file. And I just glance at it to make sure it's filled in and give them the points for completing it if they completed it. But I worry that if I didn't do that, they wouldn't watch the video. Like if there was no associated with it, I worry that there would be very few hits on the videos.
Hey, Julie, this is Elizabeth Levy talking. We also have a flipped classroom and use guided notes for videos. We end up just doing short video quizzes, and we'll let students use their guided notes. And again, very low points. And I said, if you want to try the video quizzes without your notes, that's totally up to you, much like what you were thinking. But also it's, very low points percentage, of the course. And we broke it down into very smaller, lessons, sections in each lesson is how I should say it. And I'll tell them, okay, these questions will be coming from this section. Go grab your notes, and it is timed. It's not maybe 5 if I'm generous, maybe 8 minutes. I mean, it's not meant for you to sit there and run through the video at time and a half on another screen and fill in the answers, which if they do, okay. So they get, like I said, a very small, points, but I figure at least they know the videos exist and they can see it and then realize, eventually in about another week, I'm like, stop running this at time and a half. Your grades are reflecting this. So anyway, I just thought maybe I'd mention that to you. Great idea though.
I use Edpuzzle where they can't fast forward and I have questions in it. And then I also was having an assignment they had to do before class in addition to watching the video, summarize. I don't check the notes because I'm tired of doing that. They just can copy, but I have them summarize points on the video and then I give them credit for that, answer some quick questions that multiple choice. And then I ask them to give me a question that I could use on an assignment or in a test, that reflects the material that they've used. And then I also gave them something we went over in class, like 2 or 3 short problems that were similar to what we did in class, and they'd have to, then they would answer those, and we would go over those in class so that it wasn't like it was something hard. I mean, it wasn't something like I never told them the answer.
Awesome. Awesome. That's wonderful. Friends, we are getting close to the end of the hour. Before we leave, I just want to share with you something here. Let me see. I just want to share with you the AMATIC website. Let's see. No, that's not the one. I want to go, okay. Can everyone see my page? Yes, okay. So if we go to professional development page, this is a new page for the professional development page, and all the archives of these faculty meetup will be here. And this is a new thing here, teaching tip videos. All your colleagues have been hard at work. So here we have got videos on different topics. different strands. So as you can see here, so this is a great resource. So for online classroom community, we have got several of them. So this is ongoing. So if you're interested in taking part in this project, just shoot me an email. My email is on the professional development page, or I want you to take advantage of this opportunity that we have here out. If you can give this out to other people, and you can introduce me to people that you think they can create such videos. In fact, several of people who have created those videos are here present at this forum. So I'm always looking forward to hearing from you. Any topics that is close to your heart, you would like to do a forum, just shoot me an email. I don't have to be the moderator for every forum. I think this is how we learn from each other, and that's the reason I created this forum. So I look forward to hearing from you all in the very near future. How's that?